Hello, welcome. It's Combeferre here. So I'll be honest, when I went to film this video, I didn't realize it was not recording for a good chunk of it, but that's okay. We're gonna work with what we've got, and I'm gonna read you guys some of my favorite poems today while you watch me build a little cottage in The Sims. And so Prevere actually introduced me to The Sims, and I've kind of been obsessed. It's really calming and peaceful for me after a stressful day to just unwind, play in a little virtual world that is not quite as troubled as our own. And so with that, let's get into it here. So this first poem is called God the Artist. God, when you thought of a pine tree, how did you think of a star? How did you dream of the Milky Way to guide us from afar? How did you think of a clean brown pool where flecks of shadows are? God, when you thought of a cobweb, how did you think of dew? How did you know that a spider's house had shingles bright and new? How did you know the human folk would love them like they do? God, when you patterned a bird song flung on a silver string, how did you know the ecstasy that crystal call would bring? How did you think of a bubbling throat and a darling speckled wing? God, when you chiseled a raindrop, how did you think of a stem bearing a lovely satin leaf to hold the tiny gem? How did you know a million drops would deck the morning's hem? Why did you mate the moonlit night with the honeysuckle vines? How did you know Madeira bloom distilled ecstatic wines? How did you weave the velvet disc where tangled perfumes are? God, when you thought of a pine tree, how did you think of a star? I just think that is so beautiful and really captures how I feel about our environment. And that is by Angela Morgan. I just think it's very moving, and we do go to a Jesuit school, so to kind of honor that, I thought I'd throw something a little bit more religious in there. So next is by one of my very favorite poets, a very famous poet. Her name is Emily Dickinson, might ring a bell, and it's called A Bird Came Down the Walk. A bird came down the walk. He did not know I saw. He bit an angle worm in halves and ate the fellow raw. And then he drank a dew from a convenient grass, and then hopped sideways to the wall to let a beetle pass. He glanced with rapid eyes that hurried all around. They looked like frightened beads, I thought. He stirred his velvet head. Like one in danger, cautious, I offered him a crumb, and he unrolled his feathers and rode him softer home. Then oars divide the ocean to silver for a seam, or butterflies off banks of noon leap lashless as they swim. I love Emily Dickinson. I don't think this is not as often cited as I've seen. I could be very wrong about that, but I just think it's very beautiful, and it's such a shame that she wasn't recognized in her lifetime. And I hope you're enjoying watching me build something here. I'm specifically choosing to highlight female poets here also, because that's what we should do always. Sorry about the sirens. So finally, this is Earth's Question by Bessie Rayner Parks. To lead a life divine, this is the question which with upward strife Earth to herself proposes, asking ever, how shall I lead this life? And in her infancy, from east and west according answer came, poet and priest the doctrine taught and blessed, divinity is fame. In a more polished age, poor toilsome fools, fair women, fairer wine, purple fine linen pictures, statues, gold, beauty is most divine. Long-bearded sages then, with still more scorn than their solution gave, thought is the only good to be desired, leave matter to the slave. God gave a helping word, but earth was blind and would misread the So I hope you enjoyed this little video and watching me build and listening to some great poems. I hope you all are doing well. Happy election. And with that, peace, joy, and love. Goodbye, all.